Hey, I'm Anso and welcome to my shop here in Denmark. This episode is volume 2 of the remake of my personal workspace in here. Right when Anders left the shop last time, I had 4 or 5 days before I had to go to the Blade Show in Atlanta, where, well, if you know knives, if you like knives, you need to be at Blade Show. It's amazing. Anyways, the last thing I did was tear the shop completely down, like strip it from all my tools, my machines. So while I was gone, Henrik, my in-house carpenter, he redid all the tabletops and he finished some details in there. The painter was here as well. I was working in here until 11 last night just to be ready for today's episode. And it's so good. I'm so happy with the result and I can't wait to show you. So the first you might notice is this wall used to be blue, baby blue maybe. That was whatever paint I had in store. The door was kind of a mustard brownish yellow. I'm sure it was painted in the 70s the last time, but some of you might remember it said Interplanetary Good Vibes Zone. And I was so in doubt if I should frame that part of the door and leave that unpainted. But in the end, I thought, I'm not an overly sentimental guy, so we had that painted over. But it's going back here in some shape or form. More on that later. Come on in. Whoa! Welcome to my crib. I'll show you around. One of my goals with this project was just to make everything a little nicer. And by a little, I meant like very much nicer. So we had these tool walls built and I started putting my most important tools up. I had this idea for the aesthetic that I wanted oak, black. In the case of black, it's the painted plywood and brass. For the last couple of weeks, I've been making these specialized holders for all my hammers, my screwdrivers, pliers, handheld lathes, if you will. And one of the objectives was to get everything away from the tabletop and up and then sort everything so I only have the bare essentials in here. This is not a do-all workshop. This is a highly specialized workshop, mainly focused on building folders, building fixed blades, and that's it. One of the things that I've been focused on with this build is it's founded in this principle of first order of retrieval, which is something that I've been working with for a long time. The wording itself comes from Adam Savage. I coined that from him, but I want to have easy access to all the tools, all the parts that I use by just grabbing and everything has its place. And ideally, there's nothing on the work surface here. But so far, it's like, I would say 90% there. Not quite yet, but it's definitely getting there. And I thought I wanted to show you guys how I make these custom setups here. For today's little build here, I wanted to get these 2 hammers a fixed place on the tool wall over here. So with this layout here, I'm just gonna scribe out a relatively rough idea of a holder that will hold these 2 hammers. One of the things that I enjoy about this new setup is that it's relatively static and rigid, but if for whatever reason things change up and I get another hammer, I have a great passion for hammers. I'm not even sure if that's possible, but you never know. I can just take one holder down, expand it or redo it, and this whole setup is relatively free-forming like that. I really like that. So I don't have any overall plan with it, but with using the same materials and the same aesthetic, everything ties together really nice. But I have a feeling that this setup that I'm building now will be the same for a long time. I hope so, at least. I found a piece of brass here that will be the back plate for the holder, and I'm basing the rest of this from the dimensions of this. So let's just go and grind this to shape just a little bit. This is by no means precision work. It needs to look good, it needs to be within certain measures of precision, but I also allow myself a little leeway here and some freeforming. So as long as it looks good, I'm pretty happy. I'm just measuring the width of the handle, so it will have a little bit of wiggle room, but not more than the head will be balancing on the wood here. So next step, I'm gonna cut out some corner holes here just to make things a little easier. This is actually one of the good exercises for me because I could make this super nice or really nice, and I will settle with super nice. I'm not setting the goal crazy high because this needs to be a functional piece of tool furniture, if you will. There's a level of finish that I have accepted. This is as good as it needs to be without being crazy time consuming. Now it gets a little sketchy here. Don't do this at home, don't.
Why did you pick, was it oak?
Yeah, oak. It's the most, or one of the most favorite hardwoods for me. There's just so much history and strength in oak. The royal fleet was built in oak. It's just a beautiful material, and you know, everyone has, maybe not everyone, woodworkers in general and people who has an interest in furniture and wood will have a favorite type of wood. For me, it's oak and ash. And there's just something really nice about this material that I just enjoy tremendously. So now I'm just gonna put a little scratch patina on this brass just to make it an even finish, and then drill some holes for assembly screws and for mounting screws. I'm just gonna pre-drill for the screws, but I will transfer the holes into the piece of oak before I drill them to the final size. So last thing before it goes on the wall is a coat of Danish oil, just to make it a little smudge resistant and to have that nice deep glow. So next is to figure out exactly where to put these hammers. This could be a good spot, or would kind of make sense to put it here above the other two hammers and then center it a little bit. These are not used all that often, so it could also make sense to just put them out to the side a little bit. What I gained in experience from putting the tools on the other tool wall here is that I have a sensor where I'm working from, and I like to be able to grab the most used tools from a seated position. Doesn't make sense to put tools that I hardly ever use right here. On the other hand, I have some ideas for some work where I might actually be using these hammers a little more. So with that in mind, I think I came to the conclusion that it makes most sense to put them here. You just want to be careful that it doesn't take away from handling these at all. This looks pretty good. I strongly suggest making your workplace nice, be it a workshop or an office environment, whatever. Spend a little time tidying up, making nice details, buy some stuff, make some stuff. I can at least speak for myself that my joy of working in an environment where I actually spend a little time on making it nice for myself just ups the joy of working here. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. This concludes the remake of my personal workshop in here. Hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment. Remember that I answer all comments and questions. So if you have anything whatsoever, let me know below and you'll hear from me. Thanks so much.